Hi everybody, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to show you this really pretty card that we're going to make using the Halloween Scenes Edgelit die, the pumpkins from the Spooky Fun stamp set, and the greeting from Sweet Seasons. These are all available in the new holiday catalog, which is available to customers starting September 1st. So this is a card that I made for a blog hop that we're doing. And I was trying to give an idea just with the holiday catalog. Sometimes people are a little hesitant to get things because maybe you wouldn't be able to use it for very long. But I thought this made an absolutely beautiful, either a fall or Thanksgiving card. So I thought I would share this with you guys today, how to make it. So we're going to get the pumpkins out and we're going to get out our greeting. And then we're also going to be using these edgelets. So we're going to use the tree and we're going to use the fence. Okay, now one thing to remember, and I'm going to show you this as we go through, because this is a couple different steps of a card. When you're doing an edgelet, there is a bottom that does not have a cut. So you want to make sure when you do this, you're going to be cutting near the bottom of a piece of paper. Otherwise, you're going to just have a fence cut out of the middle and not really much to do with it. Same thing with the tree. It doesn't have a cutting plate on the bottom. So if you don't want to make a layer with your tree, you just want to make sure that you lower it down low enough that you won't have a lot to trim off. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So let me move this up a little bit. What we're going to do first is we're going to stamp our greeting. And I'm going to do that in, what I did with this is I kind of did it in a couple colors. I did it in Cajun Craze. So I used a Cajun Craze marker. And then I did it in chocolate chip. But you could also change it. You could make it more colors than that if you'd like. Anything would work fine. Okay, so let me just open up my markers here and we'll get coloring. So when you do your markered images like this, if you're going to do more than one, you definitely want to start with the lighter color first because you can always color over the lighter color. So I usually just hold my marker sideways. And what I would tend to do is if I was going to do, say, the top or the bottom one color, I point my coverage away from where I'm going, and then I go on top of it, and I'll show you a little bit better because it's easier to keep it the correct color that way. So now I'm going to fill in this little sunburst down here. So I'm going to just, again, I'm going to do it slow just with the point, and then fill in the bottom, fill in the sunburst, and then up here, so I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to just go over this. It doesn't have to be really gently, but just with just the tip of your marker, that way you don't really you don't contaminate the two colors together, so it keeps them separate. Okay, so let me just give this a huff. And we're going to stamp that. It doesn't really need to be in the center because we're going to be cutting it out. Okay, so there's your image. And then while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the pumpkins. And I decided instead of doing them on orange, I was going to do them on, same thing. I was going to do them on, oh Lord. Come on, brain. Cajun Craze, that's it. But I'm going to do it in black just to give it a better outline because I thought that would be almost a little bit more fall-like. So I'm just going to stamp these. Oh, let me get a mat. One sec. I'm going to stamp these in black on Cajun Craze. I'm going to do this over here. Okay. And we're just going to set that on the side for now. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to cut several things, okay? We're going to cut out the, we're doing the greeting, and then we're going to cut out a piece in the Layering Ovals Framelits. Here they are. These are really nice because it has regular framelits, and then it also has scalloped framelits, which give it a really pretty effect. I think I did it opposite. See if that's enough. We'll see if I can squeeze that out of that piece. And let's see, smaller would be, sorry, I don't have mine all nicely labeled. Yeah. Let's see, I might have to go up one step. Okay, that works there, so I'm going to have to get rid of this. Let me get a little bit bigger piece, and I'll just use this to trim out my pumpkins. So, let's see, that's not any bigger. I think we have to go one more up. Yeah, we'll go with this one. So we're going to use those. We get all these. But this has a lot. Really, that's the cool thing about these circles. So there are so, if you haven't seen these are the layering circles, framelits. It has so many different sizes So you can layer them with just the regular ovals. You can see they're all lying in each other. And then this one will go on the outside. And then it also has the scallop. So you have all these different scallop sizes as well that you can do to layer if you want scallops and plain, or you could do plain. So it's a really versatile little set there. This also comes in circles and squares. All right, so let's grab that. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to, we'll do this after the fact, but we're going to just trim some paper just to make the mounds there. We're going to use a thick piece of Whisper White, and we're going to go over that with our Sponge Brayer. I'm going to cut my tree out of chocolate chip, and I'm going to cut my, let me grab a pair of scissors, I'm going to cut my fence out of Smoky Slate. So I'm going to just trim a piece, and we'll see whatever this lands is what our fence will be. So what I'm going to do is show you that when you go and do your fence, you want to put it down at the bottom. So you will have the fence, you could just do a little bit of trimming if you want, because otherwise you would have this fence in the middle, and it's just going to have this part pop off. So there's no bottom cut to it. So you're still going to have to trim something. So it's always nicer if you're not using it as a whole layer that you're going to put it near the edge of whatever you're cutting. Okay, so let's get out the Big Shot. And let me just move a couple of these things out of the way. Do this one after. Okay, put it this way, and let me just scoop my card back up. All right, so I have my magnetic platform here. All right, what we'll do first is we'll do the ovals. All right, so there's one, and we'll do the scalloped. This Sweet Seasons, once you see it in the new catalog, has so many different holidays in it. It's really nice. It has something for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween. Not sure if that's it, but it has a lot of really pretty sayings. All right, so there's our oval. There's our scallop. Let me just move these out of the way. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our fence down. Put this over here. And again, I'm going to center the fence near the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to put our tree in. And I'm going to do the same thing. You know what? I'm going to have to do it this opposite. I'm going to put this through here because I want the tree to be near the bottom so I don't have as much to trim off. So put the tree down there. And then we'll put the fence right here. Come on. Sometimes you will hit a little spot in the magnetic part of this platform that doesn't exactly mesh, or it doesn't want to stay still. So you kind of just have to reposition it. It's no big deal. Still works perfectly fine. All right, and all that cracking is completely normal as well. All right, let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to show you what I mean about these two pieces here. So your fence should pop out fairly easily, but as you can see, it's still connected down here. So we're just going to trim that off. If you don't have it yet, I just recently got the die brush. So what you do is it comes with a little sponge, and you just run your little brush over top. Well, let's see. Usually will work better than this, but it pops out all your little pieces. And, you know, it's going to make me look stupid the first time I use it here. So let me get my paper piercer. That's the other alternative. Perfectly fine in using that. This also works a lot better if you're using it with the intricate dies, and then you would use the precision base plate with your oh, ouch, that hurts. It is sharp. With your Stampin Trimmer. So just bear that in mind. All right. Let's see. Now I'm going to be bleeding all over my cards. Can't say that I don't put my blood, sweat, and tears into these cards. All right, so we're going to just break that piece off, okay? And then I'll fiddle with this in a second. All right, so now we have our tree piece here, okay? So same thing, we're going to just pull the pieces apart. And you're going to see here, I'm going to use my paper piercer just to pop this through because this is a little bit more intricate of a die with all these little branches. So you're just going to pop this through here. And it will help you to separate your framelit from your paper. Okay, almost. One little spot here is being stubborn. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. So, as you can see again, this is still fully connected, even though we cut it as close to the bottom as we can get it, because this part here does not have a cutting piece. So that's why I said if you're not, now if you wanted to, the other thing you could do, this is a completely another option, put it up here or put it near wherever your layer is, and then you're going to use this whole layering piece. Kind of like we did when we did the Mountain Rage cards with the Outdoor Adventure set. You put layer upon layer upon layer. But I didn't want to do that with this one because I didn't really want to waste the paper. But at the same time, I figured, well, I was just making mini layers, so there really wasn't any need to cut or have these gigantic big pieces here. So I'm going to just trim this out here. And this one will just pop right off because it's right near the edge. Okay, and then there you have your layering piece, okay? So let me just get a couple things out of the way, get rid of that. So this we're gonna need, this and this. Other thing I'm gonna do quickly is I'm gonna show you, so our card, this card we made as a horizontal card, so it's like a landscape picture. So what I did is, I'm going to use some pieces of garden green, and I just basically cut my own little slopes to make for the hills in the background, okay? And the only thing I did is just, let's see if we want to do a little measuring real quick. So this card crosswise is going to be 5.5, but we're going to trim this a little shorter because you can see I layered this in as a little bit of frame with the black. So we're going to make it 5.25. So we're going to go ahead and trim that. It doesn't matter how tall it is because we're cutting it, okay? So let me move this out of the way. And then what we're doing is we're just going to make a couple of layers. So I'm going to make one from this side first. So just a little bit of like a rolling hill kind of feel. Okay, there's one. Now, if you don't want the pattern on the other side, you can just flip it over, and then from this side, we're going to cut up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one a little bit of a higher hill, kind of just going down to a slope, because this one will be like that. Then we're going to have our tree, which we're going to set here, and then we're going to put this on top of our tree just to kind of cover up the trunk part. So we can definitely keep this handy because we might need to trim just another little piece just to cover this up. I think we're definitely going to have to. So I'm going to just make a little piece just like that, and we can always kind of just fit it in wherever we want it. Okay, so now we have our layers for our hills, and that was garden green in case I forgot to mention. All right, so the only other thing we still need to do is we're going to do our brayering. And really quickly here, I'm going to just trim out these pumpkins. What I did is I kind of just went with the decision to use the two smaller pumpkins, unless you want to stamp it multiple times. You could probably use this tall one as well. So maybe we'll try that this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this out. Yeah, I think that one's going to overlap kind of no matter what. So we're going to use the two outer pumpkins. We're going to just trim that, trim this off. You can go as close as you want. You could certainly still stamp this in pumpkin pie if you wanted to. You could stamp it on white and color it in if you like to, whatever it is that you want to do. So we're going to trim out to this pumpkin here. But I just thought using the Cajun Craze instead would give it a little bit more of a November-y kind of feel. All right. Pop that. Try to not break off the trunk. There we go. And then same thing for this one. So I'm going to just trim this out right here along the edge. Trim off the stem. There we go. So there's not a whole lot of time that you guys have to continue to wait for this beautiful new catalog to come out, the holiday catalog. If you don't have one, be sure to shoot me an email with your name and mailing address, full name, full mailing address, please, and I'll be happy to send you one for free. It's got a lot of really great stuff in it, so I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to move all these little bits on the side because we're going to do a little bit of brayering. Okay, so I'm going to scoot that over, and let me just trim out my piece. So again, we're going to make this 5.25, and that is the thick white cardstock. Okay, so this is a little bit thicker, 5.25 by 4. Okay, and While I'm at it, I'm also going to get out a piece of black. And this is going to be for the base. So we're going to cut this at 4 1/4. Am I right? 4 1/4? Yes. And then we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay. So you could certainly make this into a vertical card if you want to, but I thought it gave us a little bit more room to play if we did a landscape horizontal card. Okay. Let me just get this real quick. Spoon folder. All right. So thick whisper white. And we're going to use our Sponge Brayer. Okay, we're going to get out, how about if we do Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie. So we'll do Daffodil Delight, then Pumpkin Pie. And then if we need to, maybe we can add in just a smidge of Cajun Craze. Okay, so I'm going to just set that here. I'm not sure if we're going to use that yet. So with this Sponge Brayer, one thing you want to do is, same as before, you do want to go lightest to darkest if you're not going to clean in between. And you want to make sure with the old pads, this one is a felt pad, it's not as important, but if you have a new pad that has the foam, you don't want to press hard because these little things here can rip your pad. So when you have your foam pads, just make sure you have a light hand. You do want to make sure that your ink pads are very well inked, because this doesn't pick up ink the same way that the other brayer did. It's going to be much lighter. But at the same time, it gives a totally different feel. So we're just going to roll over that. I'm going to do that one more time. Excuse me. All right, so that was, I believe, Daffodil Delight. That was Daffodil Delight. Just roll a little bit. This is going to be Pumpkin Pie. All right, so I'm going to just go a little bit lighter with this because it definitely inks up much differently and almost much faster than the other brayer that we had. All right, one more time. I'm going to give that faded sunset. All right, and I am going to do a little bit of Cajun Craze. So that was Pumpkin Pie. And then lastly, Cajun Craze. This one I'm going to go super light with because the Cajun Craze is definitely very dark. All right. Okay, so inking that up. And then this one I'm going to start off and roll. Whereas the other ones I kind of went direct to paper. I'm going to start off again. This time I'm going to start on the other side. Gives that nice faded sunset feel. Okay, that's enough. I'm afraid I'm going to make it too dark. I have made one really, really dark that I was terribly disappointed in just because it did not look as sunsetty as I wanted to. So again, we finished up with Cajun Craze. Just going to bring a little bit more at the top there. Kind of give that fall sky feel. The other thing you could do, you could mask yourself a little bit of a half oval here and make like a setting sun in white and then kind of fill it in with that really dark red or Cajun Craze color, or even Cherry Cobbler would look really pretty as well. All right, so now the only thing we have left to do is some layering. So I kind of would say to make sure you eyeball this before you adhere anything. So what we're going to do first, this is definitely going to need to come down. What we're going to do first is kind of look and see where we like it. This piece is going to be the cover-up piece for the tree if we need it. We're going to sponge this in Garden Green. You can either use your sponge or you can use your Sponge Dauber. I'm going to do with the Dauber because I want it a little darker. So Sponge Dauber gives a much harder one. This kind of almost gives it the look like it's grass growing on your field, which is kind of nice. And then maybe just a tad lighter on the edges. You can always even go over top a little bit just to kind of give like the feel of grass growing. Okay, so same thing here. Just a little bit of grass on the end. Okay, right there. Maybe just a little couple sponges just to give it a little bit more depth. And then last piece here. Okay. Again, if you want this to be lighter, just use one of your regular Stampin Sponges instead. Okay, and then I'm going to just go over just a little bit. Kind of just gives a little bit of shading to it, okay? So once again, that was Garden Green. All right, so what we're going to do, let me think, one other thing I wanted. I did the tree and the fence. I went over them with just a little bit of basic black, so I'm going to do that again. So here is basic black. Let me get my fence piece over here. And I did this one with a sponge just because I didn't want it quite as dark. Okay, so I kind of just sponge the tips a little bit. Not to really make it look Halloween-y, but just like that, you know, end of season kind of tree look where everything's starting to get, and this I was trying to go for like a faded old fence kind of feel. I don't want to say I was out of black because I think I'm never out of black paper, but I kind of wanted to give it like a little bit of a distressed beat up kind of feel to it. Oh, there you go. I'm just bending the cardstock if that's not beat up. Okay, and the only other thing I'm going to do is right here on the edge, I'm going to trim this little piece off just so it gets that little edge out so you can see the edge of the fence. It doesn't have to be perfect or precise, so you see that way you can see the edge there. And I just want to make sure these little pieces pop out because for some reason they're being just a little crazy today. Sorry about this. Let's see if I can fast forward through it for you. Okay, there we go. And the other thing is too, if, God forbid, you end up actually accidentally trimming some of your fence just like that, made it broken. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I've seen a lot of broken fences. I live out kind of in the country-ish. It's not really as country as I'd probably like to think it is, but there's always a lot of broken fences, so it'll just give a little bit of character to your card, so don't change it. All right, let me get these things out of the way, and we will get to layering. This. Okay, so just don't want any little crazy pieces to end up. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to put our little greeting here up on some dimensionals. Oh, sorry if my head was just in the way. And these are what dimensional sheets look like. You know, they're all the little dots. But I always use these little extra pieces too because they make nice strips. And actually, if you don't yet have the strips for shaker cards, these little edges will work pretty well. You just have to use the thinner ones. So we're going to pop that up here, just like that. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of crushed curry and just fill in my sunshine just ever so much, just to give a little extra something there. Okay, make it a little different. I'm going to also put some dimensionals on the other side, and I'm going to pop it up on our card. So there's 3 and 6. Oops, got one of those little pieces sticking. One in the middle for the heck of it. All right, so there's that. Okay, let us get our black. Okay, and we're going to put this on. You can pop this up on dimensionals as if you like as well. I'm not going to adhere it just yet because I want to make sure I like where I put everything, because we're definitely going to need to trim. So if we put our hill here, okay, nothing is adhered yet. We'll put our tree over here. Let me pop this one piece out. Didn't come out. Okay, we'll put our little tree here. It can go up. It can go a little bit angled. You're not really going to see any of this part because we're going to cover it up. So this is going to go here. And as you see, we have a lot of background showing here. So we can slip this piece in if we want. We can bring our tree up a little bit. So let's do this. We're going to flip these over. And we're going to put some adhesive. I'm going to put it on the tree, the big one, and the little piece. I'm not going to put it on this little thing yet, okay? So this is just SNAIL adhesive. You can use whatever you like. You could use Tombow liquid glue. Would definitely give you a lot more flexibility with actually sticking it down. So if that's something you want to do, that is a perfectly good idea as well. If you want to do your little tree with a little bit of the liquid, the fine tip liquid glue. Ooh, losing my words. Okay, so I'm going to set this a little bit lower because I know that needed to go lower. I'm not pressing, I'm just setting for now. Same thing with this. Get those little marks out of the way. Okay, let's see where this one's going to go here-ish. Let's see. And maybe we'll put this over here, but we may need to trim this down just a hair. Let's see. Let me move this down just a smidge, just to cover it up. And this I moved too far over, so let me move this over just a little bit. Okay, sorry. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. Hold on. I just smudged that one up. Let me just move this up just a shade. Come on, Rachel. You can do it. There we go. Okay. So you see I have a lot of pieces hanging. So what I'm going to do is just flip it. Get out my sticky scissors. And just trim it a little bit. Trim it a little bit here. Trim it a little bit there. And let me just get just this last little hair here. I'm going to trim right on the edge. Just like that. Okay. So there's that. And we're going to put our little pumpkins up on some little dimensionals as well. Choose these little tiny ones. Okay, so put this one over here. Just like that. Let me see. Put this one over here. All right, and we do still have our fence, so I'm not going to put this down just yet. Okay, and our fence, what we're going to do is you can kind of put that there just so it kind of gives you a little bit more coverage. If there's something you want to cover up, you can do that. If you like it the way it is, we can always trim a little bit of this off. So I'm going to just put adhesive on the bottom piece of our fence, just like so. You could also, oh, let's do that. That'll be more fun. Let's raise it on dimensionals. That'll be even better because then it's going to give almost like a little bit of a shadowy effect. So I know I put adhesive there. It's not going to hurt it. This little one here, and let's see if we can get this one in the middle. There we go. Okay, so just pull those off, and we're going to just stick this on kind of wherever we like. There you go. That's pretty neat. Gave it a little bit of a different feel. And then we can do the same thing again if we want to put our little lone pumpkin over here on the hill, like somebody forgot to pick him. And we're going to just put our greeting down. Again, we put this one up on dimensionals as well. Before I finish, I am going to put a little bit of adhesive because I don't want to botch this up. Okay, so we're going to put that on our basic black panel. That is, again, measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Give that a little press. Put our little greeting up here. Beautiful. So I think the last time I might have made this a teeny bit smaller with this, this one. I think I made it with a closer one because this is obviously a lot closer. So totally up to you. You could do it either way. I think both of them look really cute. This one might be able to be retrimmed just a little bit, just so it's a little smaller. Or the other thing we could do is we might be able to scoot it over a little bit, just so it's not kind of overtaking the tree. There you go. And another completely viable option, if you don't want to take up space on your card, you could put it on the inside. And then instead you would just glue them or snail them down flat. That way they don't stick up quite as much. Put them on the inside. You could definitely fill in the sentiment on the inside of this. There's a great one, like sugar and spice, because of course that doesn't go with fall. What does? This could definitely be a beautiful sympathy card. Just with no pumpkins, with the tree and the sunset. That would be a great card as well. But this set, so sorry, this darn dimensional doesn't want to get out of the way. Beautiful card I made with this one recently. This is great. Have a great card with this one. Has 2 Halloweens, so Thanksgiving. I mean, just a really great set. So this, I think, is one that everybody is really going to want to have. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to follow me on YouTube. You can find me at Rachthestamper. You can find me also on Facebook at Rachthestamper. Right now we are doing a blog hop with this card in our team, or sorry, our Stamp It group. And if you would leave a comment on my blog with hashtag Stamp It Contest and your comment, you can enter. You can enter on every one of our blogs if you want. So there, I believe, are 10 people, so 10 chances to win. And we will let you know. We draw a really great prize. The prize is listed on my blog. If you haven't subscribed to me, you can follow me on rachthestamper.wordpress.com. You can get all of these supplies and more in my online store. Like I said, all of the new holiday catalog goes live. Let me show you where is the front of it. I lost it. I cannot find it. I know I have one here. Here it is. this goes live. There's so many goodies in here. September 1st for customers. There's so many great things you're want to get in here. If you haven't seen one already, again, shoot me an email with your name and full address and I'll mail you one for free. Thanks for taking time to watch. I hope you guys love this beautiful card, and I hope it's giving you some inspiration for maybe a reason you weren't going to get a Halloween set, but now you can use it for Thanksgiving or fall or back to school. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a great day.